So today we're unpacking a dynamic that, let's be honest, feels incredibly relevant to pretty much everyone right now. How exactly do you survive, and maybe even thrive, when the economy takes a massive nosedive? To figure this out, we're diving into a really fascinating new academic study coming out of Vietnam. It gives us this incredible window into how both massive organizations and everyday individuals are bracing for future financial storms. And more importantly, it gives us some absolutely vital lessons we can apply straight to our own careers. Okay, let's dive into this. 366. Now, that number isn't just a random stat. It represents the massive combined years of battle-tested professional experience from the 25 seasoned entrepreneurs, executives, and business experts surveyed in this study. We're talking about leaders who have actively navigated multiple economic upheavals across all kinds of industries in East Asia. So we're looking at real-world authority and grounded insights here, not just some abstract economic theory cooked up in a lab. Here's our quick roadmap for the explainer today. We'll start with Vietnam's economic crossroads, move into the AI anxiety, look at how organizations are reacting, explore Vietnam's cultural shield, pinpoint the mistakes you must avoid, and finally, figure out how we're thriving through the downturn. All right, starting with Section 1, Vietnam's economic crossroads. So Vietnam sits in a really unique position right now. It's this rapidly growing economy that's deeply integrated into international supply chains, which, as you know, exposes them to some severe macro-level threats. For starters, they're facing heavy U.S. tariff pressures that significantly impact their massive electronics and garment export sectors. But it's not just international trade politics. We're talking physical reality here. Climate change is actively threatening their fisheries. Think about this. Shifting ocean conditions are actually impacting anchovy stocks, and those little guys are absolutely vital for their legendary fish sauce production. Throw in shifting global demand, trade fragmentation, and internal issues like corporate debt and energy constraints, and man, you have a perfect economic storm brewing on the horizon. Moving right along to Section 2, the AI anxiety. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that when we shift our focus from those external global threats to the actual workplace, a staggering 44% of respondents cited artificial intelligence and automation as their primary recession concern. That is huge. They aren't just worried about a slowing economy or global trade bottlenecks. They're deeply, genuinely concerned that the very technological tools organizations are using to survive a downturn will be the exact things that permanently replace their jobs. Just listen to this stark quote from Respondent 5. AI and automation will replace most blue-collar workers and office worker jobs. Wow. It points to this really painful paradox in the modern economy. You see, organizations are aggressively integrating AI and digital transformation to streamline operations and survive a recession. But for the workers, well, this creates massive compounded anxiety. Because how do you keep your livelihood secure when an algorithm might step in and do your routine tasks faster and, frankly, cheaper? Which brings us to Section 3, how organizations are reacting. When we take a peek inside the boardroom during a downturn, there is a fascinating tension at play. It's kind of like a tug of war. On one side, you have the manager's strategy. Their instinct is to optimize cash flow immediately. We're talking short-term cost cuts, strict hiring freezes, and rapid AI integration to boost efficiency. But on the other side, you have the employee's desperate need, long-term career resilience, continuous upskilling, and, fundamental job security. This creates a severe conflict of interest during a crisis. Management wants to slash costs to survive today, while employees desperately need investment in their skills to survive tomorrow. A major part of that managerial strategy involves optimizing headcount structures. Sounds fancy, right? But what does that actually mean for the everyday worker? Essentially, it means businesses are freezing external recruitment. Instead of hiring new people, they are reallocating tasks and expanding the responsibilities of the staff they already have. So workers are basically being forced to stretch their individual capacities, taking on cross-functional duties and wearing a whole lot more hats just to remain indispensable to the company. Let's shift gears to Section 4, Vietnam's cultural shield. And this brilliantly illustrates how traditional, everyday habits can act as powerful economic armor. Stepping away from the boardroom for a second, in Vietnam, there is a deep-rooted lifestyle of modesty and frugality. You frequently see multi-generational households living together under one roof, which drastically reduces and shares those heavy living expenses. Plus, there is a really strong cultural preference for repairing and reusing items over simply throwing them out and buying replacements. Add to that the fact that many communities maintain small-scale farming or gardening for a degree of food self-sufficiency.
You put all these practices together, and it allows families to seriously cushion the blow of inflation and potential job loss. It's built-in resilience.
Let's look at Section 5, Mistakes You Must Avoid. All right, bringing the focus squarely onto you and me. The experts identified some very specific traps people fall into when a recession looms. Trap number 1, weak financial preparation. We're talking about relying on a paycheck-to-paycheck lifestyle with absolutely no buffer. Trap number 2, stopping your professional skill development. You literally cannot just rely on the skills you had 5 years ago. And trap number 3, assuming your current role is completely secure. Let me tell you, economic shifts spare no one, so right now is a fantastic time to do a reality check on our own recession readiness. There's a warning from Respondent 23 that feels incredibly urgent here. Many underestimate financial planning and fail to adjust spending habits early. This hits the nail on the head regarding the extreme danger of being reactive instead of proactive. Look, if you wait until the layoffs start happening to cut your spending, it is almost always too late. Early awareness and immediate action, those are literally the only ways to safeguard your livelihood. Finally, Section 6, Thriving Through the Downturn. So, the crucial point is how we turn all this anxiety into actionable empowerment. The experts laid out dual action plans here because surviving a down economy, it's really a shared responsibility. If you're a manager, your plan requires intense scenario planning, super transparent communication with your team to keep panic at bay, and actively fostering innovation. But if you're an employee, you need to proactively build your digital and AI competencies immediately. You need to show cross-functional flexibility so you can wear all those extra hats, and you've got to aggressively build up those emergency savings. The bottom line is both leaders and workers have to fundamentally adapt their behaviors to make it through intact. If you take away absolutely nothing else from these 25 experts, remember this. Continuous learning is the most controllable form of individual protection against recession-related job risk. Think about it. You can't control the global economy. You can't control international tariffs. You can't even control if your company institutes a sudden hiring freeze. But in an unpredictable economy, your ability to rapidly learn new skills and actually complement AI technologies rather than compete with them, that is your greatest, most controllable asset, hands down. Which brings us to the final provocative question you really need to ask yourself today. When the next economic storm hits, will AI be your replacement or your ultimate survival tool? The answer to that question entirely depends on the actions you choose to take right now. It's time to take charge of your future, stay focused, and keep learning.